Alright guys, so let's get in and watch this video where Kylie went into the water from Gray Hughes with the overlay. You'll see it. I want you to look at what's going on here. The other day I was scrolling through YouTube and I saw Sweetie Pilo's video. The title of her video is Kiely Rodni. This is why her friends didn't want her found. They knew, spoke past tense all along. So of course I'm clicking this, right? I haven't seen this video yet. Somehow I never saw this part of the video. I saw the dark video. I saw the video with the overlay, but I always watched where Kylie was going into the water, and then that was the end of the video. I never saw an extended cut of it like Gray Hughes has, where it shows a little bit after. This is about as dead nuts as you can get. If you can watch this video and still say accident, absolutely no chance for foul play, and move on, you obviously have no understanding of what you're seeing take place in this video. Now, could I be wrong right now? Yes, I could be wrong. But in my experience, this is about as clear cut as it gets that there's something fishy going on here. Think about it. Watch this video with an open mind. Even if you believe Kylie was completely an accident and there's no chance anybody had anything to do with it, just watch this video with an open mind. I appreciate that. Now let's get into it. Alright, so right here we have Kylie driving into the water. She goes into the water pretty slowly and we can see her inside the water for a little bit of time before her car goes under, right? It's not a long time. In the moment, of course, that time would be a lot shorter. If you're in the car, panicking, drunk, of course that time would be a lot shorter. But we obviously see that there was a lot of time that the lights were still above the water. And since the lights were still above the water, that means that water was not rushing in the car so hard she couldn't get out. So if she was conscious and awake and sitting in her driver's seat with her passenger window down and she's floating across the water for this amount of time, you would think that she would jump up, jump out the passenger seat and out the passenger window and be saved, unless she was not conscious or alive. Alright, so we see these cars here to the side, right? See the cars sitting over in the corner. Not the lights back off in the back, but the cars setting off to the corner. Now, watch Kylie's car go in the water, and then watch what these cars go and do. And like she says in her video, you can't really tell how far away these cars are. But one thing you can do is you can judge the time that it takes them to drive across there. And we know the roads are not great. We know that this image is taken from miles away, but we also know that this image is zoomed in on. Otherwise, we wouldn't be seeing this the way we see it. But watch the amount of time it takes for her car to go under the water, and watch the amount of time it takes for these other cars to come over to where she's at. And that'll give you an idea of how long she had to get out and how long they had to drive to get there, so how far away they were. Is it not super coincidental that as soon as she goes into the water, these cars are moving now and they're driving there? So you can't tell me they were half a mile away when it only takes them a couple seconds to get exactly where she was when they start moving. But now let's look at this second car right here. That first car went around the bend, right? Now that first car could be going around to make sure nobody else is around. Nobody else is down there that they didn't expect to be down there. So nobody else saw what just happened. That's what that other car is going to look for in my mind. In my mind. I'm not saying for sure. I'm saying in my mind. That car is going to make sure that the path is clear, that nobody's there, nobody's seeing what's going on. The second car, though, they come up and they stop right here. Right where Kylie went in the water. And they sit there for a minute. What are they doing? Maybe picking somebody up? Maybe. Possibly. Who knows? But they start moving around. curving around, and then they're going to sit there for a second, and then they're going to head back to where they started from. What's the point of them going that way if they're going to go there, stop right where she went in the water, even though they have no idea? They're going to wait, right? Right. Even though they have no idea, they're going to wait. And then here they come back to the side. They're going to stop and park right where they were in the beginning, right back to the place that they watched her go into the water. Now, here comes that other car coming back down to say, oh yeah, the coast is clear. I think we're good. Whoever was down there watching for us said everything was good. Or I went down and made sure nobody was down there. They come back, they group back up. What are they doing? What are they doing? Why are they coming back together? Why are they coming back together? That's a huge question here. What was it? Were they just planning to run off? Were they just planning to go and then one got turned around and decided, no, I want to go back to where we were for just a second, and turns around and goes back, and they call their friends and their friends turn around and come back and meet them? Is that all just coincidence here? Is it coincidence that as soon as Kiely drove into the water, these other cars leave where they're at, one goes past to go make sure the coast is clear, one stops and checks to see if they see anything coming up from the water where Kiely went in. Then that one that stopped turns around and comes back to the spot. Then the person who went to go make sure the coast is clear comes back and meets them again back at the corner. But now it's really important to figure out what are they going to do from here. Because remember, the official narrative is that they have no idea anything went on. This is all just coincidence, right? That these people have no involvement. They didn't see Kiely. They're not looking for Kiely. There's nothing going wrong here. Nobody has any idea what happened, right? That's the official narrative. But let's go ahead and watch a little more, and let's see. Let's see what happens. Let's see what they do after they've already went down there once, turned around and came back, and made sure the coast is clear and turned around and came back. What do they do now? They group back up. They group back up to their little side, and then they're going to turn back around, and guess where they're going to go? Just guess. Guess. Please. Guess where they're going. I'll wait. Head it back out. What are they going to do? They're going to stop right there. Now watch the lights. Watch the lights right here. You see how the lights start going all over the place, like they're shining lights looking for something, like they're spinning the cars around looking for something. You see how the lights are? What's up? What is that about? Why are they randomly going somewhere where this girl just drove in the water that they have no idea about, and they go there twice and they're parked looking around trying to see something if they didn't have any idea what happened? Why? Why? How does that make sense? How does it make sense? Now, what makes the most sense to me is that something happened at the party. A group of people tried to cover it up. The way they thought they could get away with it was to make it look like Kiely drove herself into the water. So they probably put her back in her car and drove the car into the water. They had the passenger window down for that side of the car, and so they would have a quick escape as soon as they went into the water. I've got a video on my channel showing how they could have drove the car from the passenger seat and hopped out the window as soon as they went into the water. As soon as they went into the water. And then somebody's sister said that she came home soaking wet that day. Wouldn't that make sense? Wouldn't you be soaking wet if you drove a car in the water and jumped out the window? I mean, I don't know. I feel like you would. And I feel like if you're tied up in all this and there's so much pointing to you and your story don't check out because Kiely was in the water before she ever could have called your phone at 12:36. I feel like if you came home wet that day and we know the passenger window was down and we see all this activity take place, I feel like that's a legitimate reason to question. Is it not? Am I wrong? I'm just saying. Take your emotions out of it and just be logical for a second. Would you question this if it was your child in the back of that CRV? Would you question it? Would you want answers? Because I would. I would want to know. I would be upset about anything like this that I saw. There is no doubt in my mind that this would set me off. Now, shout out to Sweetie Pilo for this video. I really appreciate her making it because it really allowed me to see what went on right after. And when I see what went on right after, it's like, of course. How do you get anything else from this video? How is this video released and anybody took anything else from it aside from her car's in the water and then these people come up around being nosy, looking, checking shit out? Now, maybe they had nothing to do with it. Maybe they just saw it. Maybe they're just looking around like, did we see what we think we saw? I don't know. What was that? What was this? But if that was the case, then when they come out and said Kylie's missing, there's a girl missing from the party, wouldn't they be like, hey, we saw some strange stuff go on and nobody cared? I mean, obviously the police don't really follow up that much if you believe the woman that told the Megan woman that she watched Kylie's car go into the water slowly. She saw it going toward the water at least, and then she turned around and looked, and when she turned back around it was gone and she thought she was just tripping. But then when they said they couldn't find Kiely, she called and told the police her story. And the police said, well, okay, can you take us and show us exactly where you saw this happen? And she said, yeah. And they were supposed to call her back for a follow-up and never did. But they had the biggest search since Gabby Patino, and nobody contacted the person who said they think they saw her go in the damn water. Come on, guys. This is where conspiracy comes from. A lot of my conspiracy on all this comes from the police department. And I think it's incompetence on the police department, or it's pure corruption. It's pure money buying people's silence and buying people's way out of it. It's that small town stick together. Oh, I'm sorry this happened, but there's no use in losing two lives over it. It's that mentality that's stopping anybody from coming forward and really pushing in this case. Can you watch this video and tell me for sure, without a doubt, 100%, that this was an accident, that this isn't suspicious to you at all, that you see absolutely nothing suspicious about what these cars did after she went into the water? The timing, the distance away, the time she would have had to get out of the car while the car was still above the water level, if she was conscious, the timing it took for those cars to get from where they were sitting to where they went, how they did, how they staged, how one car went out and came back, how one car went there where she went in the water and came back, and then both cars went back to where she went into the water, and then you see the lights spinning all around looking for something, and then they leave. Can you be sure? When you add in that supposedly Sammy came home wet that night, can you just ignore that then? Even if it wasn't Sammy. Even if it was somebody else. We don't have to say, yeah, 100% it was Sammy. Sammy would be a prime suspect if she did indeed come home wet that night. But just because that's rumor and speculation or something that I haven't heard directly myself, then we can say maybe it's not Sammy. But even if we say it's not Sammy, even if we say it could be anybody, right? Let's not put blame on anybody here. That could be anybody. Do you really believe that those two cars and their actions right after and the coincidence they found themselves in, that they came right after she went in the water, they stopped at the same place, they came back to where they started, then they went back to where she went in the water and looked around all within a couple minutes and then hauled ass? Can you really just call that a coincidence? Do you really not see anything farther? Honestly. Let me know down in the comments below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel to see more. I appreciate everything you guys do. I appreciate all the comments, all the engagements, everything. Have a great day. We'll see you later.